Flowers delivered to Downing Street today show Theresa May does have some friends, and tonight, in a bold move, she brought back into cabinet at Work and Pensions an old ally, Amber Rudd, who made her name in the referendum fighting for Remain.
Welcome.
This April, Rudd resigned as Home Secretary over the Windrush crisis, though a recent report said her officials had been to blame, not her. She's been one of the few MPs publicly to back May's Brexit deal.
I am confident the Prime Minister can survive. I think she's demonstrated this week her complete commitment to making sure that she serves the people she was elected to do so, and she's come forward with a really practical response to leaving the European Union. I think it's the right combination.
And the new Brexit Secretary is the much less well-known Stephen Barclay. He voted leave, though his job's been downgraded now to just the domestic aspects of Brexit, as Mrs May takes personal control of the negotiations.
Morning, Mr. Gove.
Meanwhile, Michael Gove, after overnight talk that he might resign, began the day saying nothing.
Are you going to support the Prime Minister, sir?
We'll be resigning today, Mr Gove.
Morning.
Though later said he's staying on. But that could still entail big trouble for the PM. Gove and the Development Secretary Penny Mordaunt are part of a 5-strong Brexiteer group convened by the Leader of the House, Andrea Leadsom, which also includes Liam Fox and Chris Grayling. Those 5 ministers, and other ministers as well perhaps, plan to meet over the next week ahead of the big European summit in Brussels on Sunday the 25th, which is due to agree the withdrawal deal. Now, they plan to force Mrs May to make significant changes to that deal ahead of the meeting. In particular, they want something tangible to explain how Britain might leave the Irish backstop. And unless they get that something tangible, they're threatening resignations. Most likely Mrs Leadsom, but possibly some or all of the other ministers as well. It looks like mutiny within the cabinet. But the Prime Minister's not giving up. After almost 4 hours publicly fielding questions yesterday, she spent another half hour on a breakfast phone-in.
I respectfully ask you to do the right thing in the national interest and stand down to allow someone from the Brexit camp to take the lead.
For a lot of people who voted leave, what they wanted to do is to make sure that decisions on things like who could come into this country would be taken by us here in the UK and not by Brussels. And that's exactly what the deal I've negotiated delivers.
But Mark Francois was one of several more Tory MPs today to send letters to the chairman of the 1922 committee calling for a vote of confidence in Mrs May.
The Prime Minister has signed us up to a deal which would make us a vassal state. I cannot vote for that in all conscience. I can't. I won't. And we've spent months in private, as the letter explains, trying to persuade her privately, confidentially, to change her mind. She will not do that, so I'm now on a bound. I have no choice.
So how many letters now, Mr Baker?
There are now around 24 MPs who say they've sent such letters. And this Brexiteer leader says they'll soon reach the crucial 48 letters needed to trigger such a vote. But polls suggest that Mrs May is more popular than any of the alternatives.
Polls suggest all sorts of things, but we had a poll that suggested Remain would win the referendum, and then we found that Leave won. We had a poll which suggested that we would have a landslide Conservative victory at the general election, and then we find we're in a hung parliament.
As she left Downing Street for the weekend, Theresa May faced revolt from both backbenchers and part of her cabinet, with still little sign of getting her withdrawal agreement through Parliament.
Resignations, no deals and an embattled Prime Minister, and that's just how the British media is reporting Brexit. But how is the rest of the world taking the news? Today in our Brexit Minute, we look at how everyone else is looking at us. Donald Trump's favourite channel, Fox News, sought out the hard Brexit views of Nigel Farage, their go-to pundit.
It is the worst deal in history.
Meanwhile, our friends in the Netherlands, Dutch channel RTL,
Brexit. Maar wat nu?
did their best to hide their disbelief, saying Brexit is a soap opera that's far from over.
Met Brexit.
In Paris, France 24 lapped up all the talk of palace coups and snap elections.
She's weathered a lot of storms in her 2.5 years as Prime Minister. And what about the front pages? Well, Britain's reputation for unflappable stability is taking a hammering. It's not the deal that's being talked about, it's whether Theresa May can hold on to power. From the Irish Times describing the embattled May, to the New York Times talking of Britain's leader takes a bruising, and Spain's La Vanguardia, which says Theresa May is holding on despite resignations. There are 133 days to Brexit. Maybe.